there, Gavin here from makingwithmetal.com. In this video, I want to show you perhaps one of my favorite tools. This is my 1955 built, USA made Logan model 1922. It's got 11 inches swing over the bed and it's got 36 inches of capacity between centers. And I'll tell you, it has been a great machine. I've built tools on this machine. I've built production parts that I've sold online. I've made all sorts of spacers and fixtures. I use this thing all the time. In fact, I just published a video where I made a clutch safety switch spacer for my Dodge with some Delrin plastic, just a little example. Well, I've had this machine for about 15 years now. Bought it from my friend Paul Dunham, and thought it'd be fun to give you just kind of a quick virtual tour and a walk around. So it is an engine lathe, so it's a general purpose machine shop tool for general turning types of procedures. It's got a belt drive with V-belts. It's 4-speed plus 2-speed for a high and a low range, plus it's back geared. Back gearing allows you to either have the main drive pulleys fixed to the spindle or to have them free revolving with an extra set of gears that effectively lowers you into a really, really low range for things like turning threads. That's another thing I've done quite frequently. A thread cutting lathe is absolutely an invaluable tool. The only thing this lathe won't cut is metric threads, but it will go all the way from 8 threads per inch down to 224 threads per inch. It's got power feed on the X and on the Y axes, so we can do that either direction on both axes for different types of turning and power parting and all the kinds of things that we do with a lathe. And I've done quite a bit with the lathe actually to add to its functionality as well. I've built a headstock Morse Taper 2 dead center mount for it. It's got the collet closer. Actually, this is one of the factory features that I really, really like for this particular lathe. It's got a 5C nose spindle adapter, and I have a full set of 5C collets. Now, why are collets so important on a metal lathe? One, they run very concentrically compared to multi-jaw chucks. Now, you can get precision chucks, which gets you pretty close, but with a good collet and a good lathe, you're going to get maybe a 0.5 total indicated run out, which is really, really good. They also provide a lot better clamping force compared to a 3, 4, or 6 jaw chuck. And finally, you can handle delicate parts. Quite frequently, I'll be working with a piece of threaded rod and I'll want to hold on to the screw threads and turn the other end. Well, with the collet, you can do that without damaging the threads, whereas with a multi-jaw chuck, you're gonna have difficulties. You're either gonna have to have it too loose and risk the part actually turning or falling out of the chuck, or you're gonna crush screw threads. So I really like the 5C collet setup, and it's really easy to switch over. So I've also accessorized it with this whole splash guard in the back. It's got a tool holder on the top with an extra wood piece here where I've got center drills, I've got tap handles, I've got drill bits that I use frequently, and I have a section here for some of the Morse Taper 2 centers that I use in the tailstock. I also did some simple mods on the tailstock. It runs really, really smooth, and really the only thing that I've changed on it here is I milled the top here so that I have a flat area. That way I can use this indicator holder, and I can also use other types of on-off indicator holders here. I built a quill adapter here for precise depth indication. If we want to have a chambering reamer and go in 1,000th at a time, we can do that with an indicator and with this kind of a fixture. So I'm the kind of guy, I like to have all my tools readily accessible. I like to have everything within hand's reach, including things like the chip brush and things like that. I also built what I call a chip hoe. So this is just a simple metal rod and piece of angle iron, but what it enables you to do is to scoop out the chips from under kind of where they fall. Speaking of that, I've also got the standard cookie sheets that you can steal from your kitchen, and that makes it really easy to take your chips and to dump them. Another important thing here, this is the bed protector. A lot of guys just have a strip of plywood, but there's actually multiple features here on the bed, and so I built a cross-sectional wood profile here so that it'll fit and be perfectly flat. That way when I remove a chuck, it protects the bed in case the chuck falls. Very important item. You want to make sure you keep your lathe in good working order. And I've got a few other things that I've done with it. I'll also point out it's got a really nice Dorian AXA quick change tool holder. That means we can take one cutter, that was a parting blade there, and then we've got an indexable carbide cutting tool here. We can switch it in just seconds. Totally love that. This is American made. I did construct this tensioner here for it. Normally there's just a kind of a hex nut here on the top that you use with a wrench, and I made this entire fixture here that just threads on, and it enables you to lock that down, which is really, really nice. And what I usually do is I just take a parallel. Got to keep a parallel on hand up here. We can also use a ruler if we need to. Here's my parallel. And you can use the quick change tool block and then use a reference surface. I'm just using the front of the chuck here. Loosen the tool block, get it perfectly parallel, and then tighten it, good to go. Okay, so now we can part and know that we're not going to be off at an angle. So there's your basic walk around. Let's do a little bit of machining with aluminum and then a little bit of machining with the collet setup with steel, and then we'll wrap things up. All right, why don't we start with a little 6061 aluminum, and we'll just go through a few steps to make a spacer. First, we'll turn the OD a little bit. Normally, I'd be comfortable getting this down to about 1/1000th of an inch or so. No problem. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we can do a little bit of drilling. I'm going to start with the center drill. And then we'll go ahead and start with a relatively small drill bit. This aluminum usually drills pretty good. Okay. I think we can follow that up with a 5/8. And now we can put our parting blade on. We'd want to measure the thickness of the shim that we wanted, but we're just going to go ahead and take this nice and slow here. We ground it at an angle so that it will part off the part before it finishes cutting the stock. And there we have it. A nice shim. We can cut that to whatever thickness we need. Very handy to be able to do that. Now, let's put on the spindle nose for 5C collets. Okay, so now that the spindle nose is in place, we still have our collet closer that was installed all the while here. We're gonna insert our collet, which we need to rotate until it slides in. Put our round bar in here. We can insert either the threaded end or the opposite end. I'm just going to kind of grip this in the middle somewhere and set our tension. When we get a firm press to close the cam over, we know we're there. All right. We can turn that diameter down a little bit. Use our power feed. We're using a carbide cutter here, so we don't really need oil at this feed rate, but a little bit of cutting oil can give you a better finish, typically. So as you can see, this Logan metal lathe, incredibly versatile piece of equipment. And you know, one of the concerns when you talk about older American iron is, can you get parts? And this company called Logan Actuator, still around, and they still support this machine. Recently switched out the V-belt. I ordered that from them, even though I could have gotten it elsewhere. But I also broke a gear, and I got a replacement gear, replace that as well. So I've been really, really pleased with this machine. It doesn't quite have the precision that I'm looking for the ultra high-end gunsmithing that I'm going to be doing. So you're going to want to stay tuned for my ultra high precision lathe that's coming up soon. So anyways, are you rocking a Logan? I'd love to hear your experiences. These are great old machines. If you find one used for a good price, I'd grab it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any of the metalworking and reloading and shooting action here on GavinToobe, please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy metalworking.